Welcome everyone, my name is Narek. Welcome to Holland Marsh Wineries. We're a family-run establishment. We focus on small batch, high quality driven wines. Today we're in our tasting room. This is where we sample a lot of our wines. It holds about 20 people, and a lot of our guests actually end up in this room to go through our portfolio and really understand the types of wines we create here. One of my favorite things about the tasting room is we have access to the front patio, which is amazing during the summer months. You can have some wine, some cheese boards, some charcuterie boards, which we also offer. And I encourage everyone to come by. So this is our production area. This is where all the magic happens. We do everything start to finish in this facility. We crush and destem, we'll press, we start the fermentation process, and we'll release our wines and we bottle it right here on site. So we produce around 2,500 to 3,000 cases of wine. High quality wines we do not sell to the LCBO. We really like to take our time here at the winery and focus on quality rather than quantity. And we use a bunch of different sort of winemaking techniques. It's pretty much a combination of old school versus new school, and you get some really interesting wines. So I'm going to take you guys over to our crusher destemmer, and it's the first stage of the winemaking process. It's the first machine that the grapes see when they come into the facility after harvest. So follow me. So this is the crusher destemmer. It's one of my favorite machines here at the winery. It does exactly what it's named after. It crushes and destems the grapes. So when we hand harvest the grapes, we'll feed it to this machine. The way it works, there's a big auger in here. It'll spin around and sort of the bunches will travel this way and the stems will fly to here, almost like a fishbone pick clean. So no berries, just stems. And the berries will fall into this compartment and this will crush the berries. And from here, if it's a white, we'll pump it right into the press. If it's a red, we'll pump it into a tank or a barrel and we begin our fermentation process. So follow me guys to the press. So this is the press. This is the state-of-the-art version of a press. You can see a lot of presses, different wineries. This is called the bladder press. And the way it works is we actually pump in all the grape must, which is crushed juice, skins and seeds, and pulp into this machine. We close these doors and we can actually start the machine up. The way it works, the bladder will fill up with air and push everything against these walls here, and the juice will trickle into this compartment. And you can put a glass underneath and just drink freshly pressed grape juice. It's not like Welch's or any other grape juice that you find in the supermarket. It's high in acidity, it's also high in sugar. It's delicious. And these are sort of the two main components you need for winemaking is high acidity and high sugar. This is the state-of-the-art version of the press in a sense that we can actually control the quality. So we don't overpress a lot of our whites. In a sense that we leave about 5 to 10% juice in there, because when we start overpricing the juice, we do get more juice, but the quality of juice is not the greatest. So it's a fine dance between quality and quantity. So from here, from this tray, we'll pump it into some of our stainless steel tanks where the fermentation process begins. The way fermentation works is the yeast is converting sugar into alcohol. And this room always smells fantastic during fermentation. You get a lot of aromas happening. And one of the key things about fermentation is trying to temperature control that process. So we have these stainless steel sort of tanks, which are used for pretty much all the winemaking. These jackets, we will pump some glycol in here. It has no contact with the wine, but it'll actually control the temperature. So naturally, during fermentation, temperature wants to go up. We like to keep it sort of cool because you want to maintain those aromatic qualities in the white wines. Even for reds, we don't want it to get too hot because you're starting to get some off-putting aromas. So whenever the wine is ready and it's time to drink it and it's time to enjoy it, we start bottling it. It's one of my favorite processes of the winemaking because all the years work, all the time, all the aging, it's time to bottle it and enjoy it. So we're in our bottling line area, and like I said, it's one of my favorite parts. The family does get together and we all help out. Every person will be working a different station. So we have someone feeding the line. This will actually fill up our bottles. This will cork it. We use 100% natural, real cork. We're pretty old school in that way. And my philosophy is if you can't open it, you shouldn't be drinking it. So from here, it'll go into the capping station. Someone will be sort of putting on the shrink caps here. This will melt it. It'll circle around. This will label it. And someone over here will be putting it into boxes and taping it up. Super fun, super easy. It does about 2,000 bottles an hour, so it definitely helps us, and we can drink the wine faster. Aside from making some beautiful handcrafted wines here at the winery, we also like to host a lot of functions. So follow me to the clubhouse, which we host most of our functions here at the winery. So this is our clubhouse. It holds 200 people. It's one of my favorite rooms because it really represents what we're about here at Holland Marsh Wineries. So it's warm, it's rustic, it's beautiful, it's inviting, but at the same time, it represents everything local. So from the pine that we sourced for building this beautiful room, it's from Innisfil. A lot of the alcohol in the different sort of beer and vodka options and whiskey options we use is all for locally sourced. Even the truffles and the jellies and the cheeses that we use in our charcuterie boards are locally sourced within 30 kilometers. So local for us is big. We weren't always here at the Holland Marsh. We actually originate from a small country called Armenia, a small town called Hrazdan. And it started with my great-grandfather, who passed down he was the first winemaker, and who passed it down to his son, who passed it down to his son, Roland, which is my father. And we moved here about 27 years ago to Canada, and we had a small partnership winery in Niagara. He sold it, and we came up here, and we started building everything from ground up scratch. We just absolutely fell in love with the land, and we saw a lot of potential here at the Holland Marsh, and it's some really interesting growing soils for wines. And now, today, my brother is the head winemaker here at Holland Marsh Wineries, and he takes care of our operations, and I take care of the sales and marketing here, and I just drink the juice. So we grow 10.5 acres here on site. We planted in 2007, and everything from the vineyard portion and the farming practices is very minimalistic in our approach. So we hand harvest, we hand prune. We don't spray too much here at the winery. We have a little bit of a microclimate, so it keeps there's a lot of wind action that keeps mold, mildew, and those kind of things off the vine. We're very much a sandy, clay, loam type soil because we're at the tip of the marsh, and we're in a bowl, so the heat stays and the cold stays. We grow everything from a little bit of Pinot Grigio, a little bit of Riesling, which we use in our beautiful Riesling Reserve wine, which is very sort of floral, mineral driven, and clean and crisp. Definitely on the dry end of the spectrum. We also grow some Bac Noir and some Gamay Noir, which we use for our Ephemere blend. It's our gold winner. It's one of our best-selling wines here at the winery. You get a lot of juicy, fruity sort of characteristics, and I think it really pays homage to the soil and the climate here at Holland Marsh Wineries. So we also have the wind machine here at the winery, which is our best friend for growing the grapes. The way it works is it automatically turns on whenever the temperatures drop too low, and it creates a vortex. It pushes pretty much the cold air out from the bottom and brings in the warmer air. And honestly, it really helps us out for the spring frost around that May to June season. And also if the temperatures drop below -25 degrees, it will automatically turn on, and it will help the canes and the buds for production for the next coming spring.